know how the wicked works. See, the wicked set snares and traps for you to fall in. It set snares and traps. There's this game that they have. It's called Ingrid. Um, what is it? Ingrid Penance. It's this little girl, and she gets lost in the woods and falls into a hole, and she gets stuck down there, and then she tries to escape from there, and there's a beast down there, and he tells her, "You want to play a game?" And what's the game? He said, if you pass the game, you can go home. But if she was like, and if I don't, he showed her a statue of a child that was a statue. That means that you're stuck. You know that you're stuck. And like I said, the beast called himself Moloch. He said that he's funny, but not like his other brothers. His other brothers, they're really not like him, but he's fun. I like to have fun. He likes to play games. So he asked her, do you want to go home? And she was like, yeah. He was like, okay, go through that little waterfall. There was a waterfall, but the waterfall was fire. So inside of, she put her hands in there and it burnt her. If she put her hands, like if you want to go home, you got to go through that. So when she put her hands through there, it was straight pain. So she screamed, ah! And on her hands, she had two numbers, 5 and 5. 5, they represented the sins and the virtues.
Hey, newbie! Wanna play?
Play what?
A funny game. And if you win, you get to go back home.
And if I don't?
Meet Gregor. He's lost. Although I personally never liked him from the start. Maybe that's why.
So who then are you?
I don't have a name. I'm Moloch, just like all my brothers.
Are there a lot of you?
Plenty, but I am the only one who likes to play.
So, does this game of yours have any kind of rules?
The rules are simple. Act as you see fit.
And who decides who wins?
Not me, that's for sure. Don't be scared. You'll get the hang of things as you go. It's not like you have a choice anyway.
Creepy. You're not a very friendly bunch here, are you?
And you're no angel yourself, Ingrid. Otherwise, you wouldn't have ended up here. What? You want to go home already?
You bet I do. Please help me.
You see that waterfall? That's a portal to your world behind it. You can go anytime you like.
And that's it? Sounds easy peasy.
It couldn't be simpler. Give it a go. Nice and hot, right? I guess you're full of bile. Check it out. The waterfall marked you up.
What are these numbers?
Your sins are on the left, and your good deeds are on the right.
And what am I meant to do with this?
Just be yourself.
You see how that goes? It represented the sins and the virtues. If and he said, be yourself. Just be. He said, well, just how you play the game. Just be yourself. When you make good decisions and with good intentions, this increases your virtues. When you make bad decisions with bad intentions, that it contributes to your sin. Your sins keep you here. You know, falling into traps that they set up for you keeps you here. So what I wanted to say about that is when you have discernment and you start to know the traps and the devices that the wicked use to ensnare you, you start to pick up on certain things. Like one of the things that I want to tell you about is one of the tactics that they use, like as far as like, remember the Black Panther Party and Black Liberation Army and, you know, like I said, the gangs and all these things. These are programs set up to ensnare you, to trap you. So when you see the Black Panther Party, you're like, oh, these militant black people, oh yeah, they ready to take. No, these are government agents set up to be black militant or military people. You got to understand, when you're with God, God shows you things. God will show you the hidden things. So these are government agents. So the Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, gangs and street gangs and things like that of that nature, they was all set up to ensnare you. Now, as you get in, say, this is the reason why Judas and the Black Messiah didn't really get that much acclaim, because now it's giving you too much information about how they used people. This is what I'm trying to. So if I create a gang, if I'm looking like, oh, that gang is, but it's a government ran gang with anti-government, anti-police, or anti poverty, or anything that's against what it is that they have set up. If you know that the government sets that up for you and for you to join, once I decide to join that, this is already theirs. So now I become targeted by them because I really have those intentions. Me personally, because I'm not in that government agency, now I have the ability to just willy-nilly just join it. You know, so when I willy-nilly just join it, they willy-nilly just target me. They know who's theirs and they know who's not. And they know who has those feelings and they know who don't. So their agents don't have those feelings. You might genuinely have those feelings. So it's a way to lure you out and to case you into being one of them, a radical. So you guys see how that goes? Do you see how that works? No? Yeah, don't see how that works? Yes, these are true indeed. You got to understand. We thought it was only white people, man. Black people were setting us up. And that's the juicy nectar of it. It was your own people all this time that was creating all these traps for you to fall in. Behind the scene, allowing white people to mistreat you, allowing white people to lynch you, hang you, persecute you, and all this stuff. Your own people was behind all that. Your own people was behind all that. Let's not be confused about the what's what and what's not. So we can try to break ourselves free from the bondage that we are actually in. Me, I'm not in that bondage, but I see that people are actually in that bondage. My people are actually in that bondage. Back in those days and age, we didn't have the technology and access to certain information that we have today. So when the Black Panther Party came out and they were accessible in the communities, and they had certain things set up and established all throughout the United States, there was no way to find out who and how they actually came about. The only thing that we could have done was either acknowledge them, side with them, or either assisted them, or supported them in any kind of way. So that we could, whether we joined them or whether we contributed any kind of funds or any kind of energy towards them, or cheered them on. But now we see movement. We see how it comes about. It comes about through the mistreatment of black people by officers and random officers killing or assaulting people. You have the Sandra Bland's, you have the George Floyd's, you have all these people who've been murdered by police in a brutal fashion. So being that it gets rich, that means that these aren't just isolated incidents where police are mistreating people. These are things that every person is able to see, because it's getting such news coverage. The news coverage is the factor of how we receive certain things. And, the news profits from things having national coverage, things getting national attention, the ongoing trials of certain people, and is that generates views. So it's actually the media that controls, or that controls the narrative. If there's an incident of police brutality, which there's no way to make one incident greater than the next. If there's police brutalities happening in Mississippi, or whether they're happening in Chicago, there's no way to point the camera at the one in Mississippi, but yet not discuss the one that's going on in Chicago. So some things are agenda based and give way to creating opinion, or getting people, or causing a stir. It creates because the way that things are delivered to you, if you do not agree with them, or if especially if it's something that's pertaining to something sensitive, as I'm white or I'm black, and this happens to a black person, or this happens to this white person, then that's going to grab your attention, and it's going to make you say, hey, you know enough's enough. I'm tired of this. Let's go and do something about this. But that's never the case. But when I started to see the people becoming involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, I started to see family members. I started to see, like, my brother wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt, and I asked him, like, yo, why is you wearing that shirt? That's not a genuine thing. I see the insides and outsides of it. And plus, I know that you're not a pro-black person. You're not a person that cares about, black people. I know that. I know that you're not a person that cares about your own people. I know this is what I'm trying to express. You're somebody that adds on to the negativity that's plaguing your people. You refuse to step outside of those conditions yourself
and be a better person, but you're still align yourself with what it is that plagues the black community. Because, like I told you before, we come from gangs. We come from, being in a gang. And the thing about that is, we didn't actually have to join the gang. We didn't have to join the gang. The gang moved to our community, to our neighborhood, and we became involved in it. We became involved in the gangs just by being amongst it. And we can that these gangs aren't what's up. We can't say that because, we can say that because we experienced it. I experienced it. I seen the mindset of them, and they're more quick to tear themselves down than any officer can tear themselves down. But as long as they're being negative, the police, um, the it just means to attack us because we have a negative existence. We carry guns, we roll in packs, we'll steal, and we're just not upstanding citizens to the point where we will not engage in those activities. So I know where the gangs come. I know the mindset of the gangs. Like I said, I've never joined it, but it moved to our communities, and because they was amongst us, and we called these people our friends, and we hung with them, we was able to be associated with that gang. Like it was the Gangster Disciples, or the Growth and Development, but it was the actually Gangster Disciples. And the thing about that is, any one of the gangs could have moved to our hood. It could have been the Bloods. If the Bloods would have moved there, and we became associated with our friends and that was Bloods, we would have became Bloods. If they was Crips, we would have became Crips. If they was Vice Lords, we would have became Vice Lords. Anything that they were, that's what we would have became. So it's not like we had a list of gangs to choose from and we chose that gang to be associated with. But, as a person who understands this stuff, I was able to separate myself from it and say, I ain't got nothing to do with that. But him, on the other hand, these are my older brothers. They're still associated with those gangs. So anybody still associated with gangs, they can't care too much for their people, because what we have seen since maybe like 2000, I want to say when Obama was in office, since he started being in office, was the ongoing gang rival warfare in Chicago. The black disciples and the gangster disciples killing off each other, just randomly killing each other. And to not feel no type of way like, yo, bro, I ain't got nothing to do with that, or I don't want to be associated with that. That is lack of care and concern for your people, because as opposed to you speaking out against it, you're still associated with it because you think that this is something that's um it's something that's good, but it's not. It's something that's destroying your people. So when I seen that he had that Black Lives Matter shirt, I said, yo, he must be with those people. Because fast forward to, the Black Lives Matters from the Black Panther Party, they get agents to get into it, and they'll do certain things that'll draw attention to the Black Lives Matter movement. When they had the bombing with Mika Xavier, whatever his name was, and they sent the robot bomb in there, but he was a sniper and he was sniping police and things like that, and that got kind of like national coverage. These are things that classified the Black Lives Matter as this militant group, and anybody associated with it has that same mindset or that same mentality. You know, they killed officers before, so yeah, they're all of them are like that because this is something that you support. This is an idea that you actually champion. You know, you would champion that idea for the sake and the betterment of, you know, your people. We got to stop these police doing this stuff and at any means. And that's not how it goes. What it does, it creates tension and friction between, you know, civilians and officers, which for them, it's business as usual. For you, this is what life has been reduced to. You being a target to police because of your certain affiliations. And they have a right to do it because, like I said, you have those same sentiments. You have that sentiment of I'll do this to you because you've been doing this for XYZ amount of years and this is the only way, this is the only solution for us to do this. So when they do catch you, they're not in the wrong for doing anything to you because you have those sentiments. You have those same exact sentiments of, you know, to combat violence with violence. And whether you understand that or not, but that's just how it goes. So if you see in this video where the guy is going, he's looking crazy, and
Arrest! I'm dead! Arrest! I'm right here! Hey! Hey! Cross the street! Oh, my God. Yeah, what's happening? Stand up, up. Stand by with it. I can't see. Stand by with it. All right. All right, everybody from the media needs to get in the media area right now. Right now.
If you don't understand what staged events are, then I'm not sure, you know, how you should look at certain things, but some of us see past the smoke screen and we're able to tell what's real and what's not. So when you're seeing this this stage like environment, then you can only, you know, see what's real and what's not. So you see the guy and he's being aggressive towards the officers, then the officers, they spray him with something like pepper spray. I don't know what it is. But they spray him, then they take him down. His shirt says, you know, F the police. And this, when the people see it, like the world see it on the world screen, like I said, this gets national coverage. So when everybody see it, every nation, every race, and they see that this is how black people are in relations with the police, then they are justified in their actions towards them. But these aren't people's actual real sentiments, because first and foremost, the majority of black people are blinded by trying to get a piece of the pie, which is money. They're trying to get money. They're trying to get the same thing that they see their celebrities have, which is actually a piece of, you know, I told you in the previous video. They're actually trying to get a piece of whatever they got, you know. So these aren't their sentiments. Only thing they want that you can tell they want is money. All they want is money. They don't really want, peace and prosperity for their people. They just want money and things for them, their own self. So if you take a look at it, and then, you come up with that conclusion for yourself. But me, I'm able to understand that, certain things are traps and snares set up by the wicked in order for you to get into them. Because me, I genuinely feel that, my people have been misled or downtrodden, or they're being manipulated. And the only solution that I thought was the solution was to side with the people that was against that. Whether it's the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, or being that this is a capitalist country, then you would have to side with communism in order for you to oppose that. So you'll fall into those traps. But, like I said, a righteous man may fall, but he'll get up. So just because you align yourself with something doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to separate yourself from it. So at one point in time, I was associated, and I've never joined anything. I never joined a gang. I've never joined a political party. I've never, declared anything that I did was self. It was self involvement. So it was never a group of people that I would join. And that's, something that you could give the God, that you're not a follower to the point where you can join something. But he wanting to fix the problems amongst my people, you would find out information. You would find out certain information that you might find useful as far as combating those conditions. So one of the things that I stumbled upon was, the Black Panther Party, and you would think that these people were actually the ones that was set up to help our, black people. But, that's not the case. They were all agents. And the people that joined them, they normally, got dealt with. So after understanding that the Black Panther Party was involved in, the breakdown of the black people, like keeping black people in this certain paranoid state that, they're against police or police is against them, you start the research. Like once you find out those that are responsible for setting traps, and you know who they actually are. But so I went to go and research to try to find out if, Huey P. Newton was a Freemason. I went to go find that out. And then I was able to stumble across certain other information, because one time Richard Pryor had a show. Richard Pryor had a show, then he shouted him out. Everybody, there go Huey P. Newton right here. If you're, about the change and the betterment of your people, the uplifting of your people, you would separate yourself from any and everything that the whole system has set up to keep your people down, which is, Hollywood, and they capitalize off of your people, black exploitation films and stuff like that. So when I saw Richard Pryor shout Huey P. Newton out, I said, hold on, Richard Pryor is in the boulder, whatever they call that, and they're all in, why would you shout somebody out that, the government have a problem with? And I went dug a little bit deeper, and just recently, like, I knew, for a while that, the Panthers were not a genuine group. And I knew that. And once I went and researched that and found out that there was other people that knew that, and more so, I'm going to read this article to you, and I don't want to, because I love Pac. I love Tupac. I love his music. And he spoke on Tupac and his association. So I don't want anybody to feel as though, this is something that's meant to tear people down, you know, but it's just meant to convey the truth as see fit. So here we have this. This was written on March 10th, 2018, by someone that's called himself King Sango, and it's, I just recently stumbled across this, maybe a day ago, but once you start to put the pieces together, especially when it comes to understanding the games that people play and that's being played on the masses, you're able to have a better understanding of why things are what they are and who's actually behind them. Like I said, when I was being targeted as one that has discernment, and you start to find out, maybe they weren't supposed to, target me. Maybe they weren't, because some of us are actually like real live children of God and have that real live connection. Some people, they profess that just by words, but their actions don't really match it. Then you might see some people who might not look like it, but they're actually that. They're actually that. So I've always been that. So for me to be put on a list and spied on and watched, you're always going to feel that. You're always going to feel it because God watches you. So when God watches over you, God watches those people that's watching you as well. And you don't think that God would tell you that, there's people watching you, and disclosing certain information about them to you. So, and not only that, but if they was with me, if they weren't against me, they would definitely, move differently. They would definitely move differently, and not only that, but if they were actually good people, they was actually good people, they wouldn't be behind the stuff that they're behind. I've shown you the previous video where you have the game, and they throwing this hand sign, and he's a blood member. Then you show Snoop doing that same hand sign, and he's a Crip member. Then you have Tupac throwing up that same hand sign, and he's a black revolutionary. Then you have Future throwing up that hand sign, and he's advocating being a drug addict and doing drugs and doing Molly and doing all sorts of lean and all sorts of, just drug addict, just being a drug addict, just abusing drugs. Then you have Jay-Z who's throwing up that hand sign, and he actually influenced you to want to sell drugs and to get money by selling drugs and poisoning your community. So if these was actually good people, they would not be invested in these people, because we all know that bad company corrupts good character. So how could bad company be beneficial to something that's good? So these are tactics used by these particular people, and these things have to be understood whether the people want to follow that or whether the people want to understand that or not, these are things that have to be discussed or has to be disclosed, because everything that happens in the dark must come to light. We all know that. And if no one else is going to do it, then sometimes it has to be on you. Sometimes it has to be on you to bring things to light if no one else is going to bring them to light. So this article is from King Sango, and it says, "Greetings. Believe me, I found this one as hard to believe as most did when it was revealed that Tupac was also part of the plot to cause division amongst African Americans to keep them divided. How Tupac was raised by the Black Panthers, who are boulder, whatever that word is, Freemasons like Bobby Seale and Huey Newton were Omega Phi Phi Freemason cult members. The entire Black Panther movement was created by the African American Freemasonic cults that helped the U.S. government draw out the most militant and frustrated African Americans so they could zero in on them, target them, and assassinate them. Many of the poor fools sucked into the Black Panthers thinking it was a real revolutionary ended up in prison where they were killed off camera. It's true, the revolution would not be televised. It was only my living in Oakland, California that I found out personally how many African Americans in the Bay Area who were Black Panthers believing it was a real revolution were set up, framed, and sent to California prisons where they were killed in so many horrible ways. Tupac's family was a part of the core of the Black Panthers who were Boule Freemasons. They enjoyed fame and fortune unlike the other poor people who didn't get anywhere. Tupac created songs about killing cops, but later on starred in movies where he played a police detective himself. Tupac faked a cop shooting that never happened, but the Freemason police of Atlanta helped make Tupac into a rebel to be worshipped by the African Americans when Tupac was only a willing puppet. People believe now Tupac was a rebel when in fact he was a devil Freemason. Yet, Tupac wasn't the only Freemason rap star. There were others like Ice-T and Ice Cube. Funny similar names. I guess the Ice means cold-hearted traitors. Both Ice-T and Ice Cube made songs encouraging African Americans to hate the police, to kill the police, but later in their careers, like Tupac, played cops in the Freemason-ran movie industry. So, these are things you have to understand about where being targeted comes from. It comes from the COINTELPRO, and these were programs set up to gain intelligence from a people. And in order for me to elicit that intelligence from you, I have to set up and establish something to siphon that intelligence. So what better thing to do other than create an organization based around eliciting that energy or that attitude from ordinary everyday people. Sometimes it's not even in them unless it's something that's shown to them or something that's broadcast to them, somewhat like entrapment. This is like entrapment. They'll create the gang, you'll join it, and before you even thought about joining the party or the gang, these gangs didn't exist. So if I set them up for you to join, that is a form of entrapment. And entrapment, these are unconstitutional things. You can never entrap a person, especially if people just minding their own business. Then you set up a party that might sound interesting to a certain person, and that person joins that party, and then eventually that person that joins that gang, that group, that party, that fraternity, they all get they get targeted and they get taken out. So this is from 2018, and these aren't my words, but these are things that I know personally because these are things that God laid on you, So when when you have to understand, that you don't want to. But as a matter of fact, I even seen when Tupac first started, when Tupac first got into acting, he didn't want to be a rapper. He wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be an actor, and not most of the people that you see, they're crisis actors. All actors don't have to necessarily be televised. They're just a part of an agenda. You know, like when you have those bombings and you have those riots and stuff like that. There was one time I believe I spoke on it, that I was out in Atlanta, and the whole city of Atlanta was supposed to be in an uproar, but they were not. Everybody was going about their business, but the people that were in Atlanta for the rally, they were all ushered in from other states. Because I met this one female, and she was, like military, and she was staying at one of the expensive hotels out there, but she was a black militant. Like she was geared towards being a black militant person, and these are the ways that they do it when it comes to creating these big rallies and these big national protests and things like that. They're not organic. They're inorganic. They're not genuinely from the people that live next door to you, that says, you know what, I'm not going to work tomorrow. I'm going down there to that rally and we're going to get some straightening. No, these are staged people put in place to make it seem as though these are cities that's in an uproar. They all come from surrounded areas. They're paid to be out there. They get certain kickbacks. They get certain benefits for being like that. Like the guy that got pepper sprayed, I'm pretty much sure those events got him, a handsome amount, because as the police put him down, if you listen close, they asked him, "Are you okay? You okay?" Meaning, were we too rough with you? Did we no, everything's good. You're okay? All right, good. It's just a little bit of pepper spray. It'll all rush off. But we need this on camera, on footage, because we have all the cameras out here. The media's out here that needs to see this. So we have to, do this in that particular fashion. So, yeah, they're all set up to cause division amongst the people and to herd and usher the people into the way that they want them to act and respond. That's why normally when there's a big thing, like the Trayvon Martin case, I got a Trayvon tattoo on my arm. I got a Trayvon Martin tattoo because I really felt that. But once it's all over with, once the media stop covering it, your sentiments just abate. Once the George Floyd is stopped being covered, the sentiments just abate. You no longer feel that way. You're not supposed to stop fighting for whatever it is that you're fighting for until you reach the result that you're trying to reach. But because these are all orchestrated by something that's inorganic, once the media coverage is over, the feeling is over. The same thing with the coronavirus. Once the media stopped covering it, it was all over with. So we're getting to the root of, those that set the traps and set the snares. And what we all have to understand about what the devil is a liar. So if you are creating staged events and broadcasting them to the world with a straight face, lying with a straight face, there you have the devil. So the devil has a source and he's actually pinpointable. So now that's just that. We have to get into the source of the devil. And if the Freemasons is tied into that, the Eastern, whoever you want to be, Eastern Stars, Freemasons, Bloods, Crips, whoever you are, if you're tied into that, then you, my friend, are associated with what's known as the devil. And the devil is the enemy of humanity and the enemy of God. So if the Freemasons, whether that's your grandfather, your father, your uncle, your brother, your cousin, even you, if you're align yourself with something that's just not the truth, you are in fact the devil. I don't care what the order out of chaos is. If you are lying to create chaos in order to bring forth order, there you have the devil. So the devil has been identified because the devil is a liar and an accuser amongst people. We're not accusing them of anything. I'm not accusing them of anything. Whatever I see and whatever I know is just what it is. I'm not saying, the Black Panther Party is no. I've experienced everything that I need to experience. And I felt everything that I need to feel in order for me to come up with that conclusion. And when it comes to Tupac, I love Tupac. I even got Thug Life tatted across my belly like Tupac, because these are what they will want you to be. They will want you to be a thug, but God said, you are not a thug, you are not a gangster, you are greater. You are greater than that. Separate yourself from that. Leave them. For if the blind leads the blind, they will both fall into a hole. You don't need to be in no gangs. You don't need to side with them. You don't need to side with them. And the thing about that is, when it comes to Jesus, and we all know about Jesus, is the same today as he was yesterday. And same way he was yesterday, he's going to be forever. So if Jesus was in opposition to a corrupt government back then, he would be in opposition to a corrupt government today. And the same way he's in opposition to a corrupt government today, 100,000 years from now, he would still be opposed to a corrupt government. So let's not make any kind of mistakes about that. This is what it is. This isn't something that was just made yesterday. This wasn't something that was just made today. This was made in 2018 and is being brought to light today. So now you have it. Tupac, another criminal psychopath, Black Panther, Freemason sodomite by King Sango at 5:42 on March 10th, 2018. Now, mind you, that music is still relevant to me. It doesn't mean that I'm gonna not listen or not, say that his music was great. It's just the simple fact that you have to call a cat, and you did cause division amongst, blacks and the police. You giving us blind enemies. It's not all the police. Some people really are there to protect and serve. Then you have some police that are agenda-based. And if they're agenda-based, they have to follow orders. And if they have to follow orders, they just don't have any soul. That's the point of having a soul. The soul is you do what you feel. When you sell your soul, you can't do what you feel. You have to do what they feel. So, yeah, this is the topic that I said that I was going to expound on, and that's it. So, peace.